Good morning, beloved church. This is our story, Stone Soup. It's a traditional folk tale, and this was retold and illustrated by John J. Muth. Three monks, Hok, Lok, and Xiao, traveled along a mountain road. They talked about cat whiskers, the color of the sun, and giving. "What makes me one happy, Xiao?" asked Hok, the youngest monk. Old Xiao, who was the wisest, said, "Let's find out." The sound of the bell brought their gaze to the rooftops of a village below. They could not see from so high above the village that the village had been through many hard times. Famine, floods, and war had made the villagers weary and untrusting of strangers. They had even become suspicious of their neighbors. The villagers worked hard, but only for themselves. There was a farmer and a merchant, a scholar, a seamstress, a doctor, a carpenter, and many others. But they had little to do with one another. When the monks reached the foot of that mountain, the villagers disappeared into their houses. No one came to the gates to greet them. When the people saw them enter the village, they closed their windows up tight. The monks knocked on the door of the first house. There was no answer. The house was dark. They knocked on the second door, and the same thing happened. It happened again and again from one house to the next. "These people do not know happiness," they all agreed. "But today," said Xiao, his face bright as the moon, "we will show them how to make stone soup." They gathered twigs and branches and made a fire. They placed a small tin pot on top and filled it with water from the village well. A brave little girl, who had been watching, came to them. "What are you doing?" she asked. "We're gathering twigs," said Lok. "We're making a fire," said Hok. "We're making stone soup, and we need 3 round, smooth stones," said Xiao. The little girl helped the monks look around the courtyard, and they found just the right ones. They put them in the water to cook. "These stones will make excellent soup," said Xiao. "But this is a very small pot. It won't make much, I'm afraid." "My mother has a bigger pot," says the girl. The little girl ran home. She started to take a pot, and her mother asked what she was doing. "3 strangers are making soup from stones," she said. "They need our biggest pot." Thought the girl's mother. "Stones are easy to come by, and I'd like to learn how to do that." The monks poked the coals as the smoke drifted up. The neighbors peered out of their windows. The fire in the large pot in the middle of the village was a true curiosity. One by one, the people of the village came to see just what this stone soup was. Of course, old-style stone soup should be well seasoned with salt and pepper, said Hok. "This is true," said Lok as he stirred the giant pot filled with water and stones. "But we have none." "I have some salt and pepper," said the scholar, his eyes big with curiosity. He disappeared and came back with salt and pepper and even a few other spices. Xiao took a taste. "The last time we had stone soup of this size and color, the carrots made the broth really sweet." "Carrots?" said a woman from the back. "I'm have a few carrots, but just a few, and off she ran. And she returned with as many carrots as she could carry and dropped them into the pot. Do you think it might be better with onions? Asked Cock. Oh yes, maybe an onion would taste good, said a farmer, and he hurried off. He returned a moment with 5 big onions, and he dropped them in the bubbling pot. Now that's a fine soup, he said. The villagers all nodded their heads, and the smell was very agreeable. But if only we had some mushrooms, said Xiao, rubbing his chin. Several of the villagers licked their lips. A few dashed away and returned with fresh mushrooms, noodles, pea pods, and cabbages. Something magical began to happen among the villagers as each person opened their hearts to give. The next person gave even more. And this happened. The soup grew richer and smelled more delicious. I imagine the emperor would suggest we add dumplings, said one villager. And bean curd, said another. What about cloud ear and mung beans and yams, said some others. And taro root and winter melon and baby corn, cried other villagers. Garlic, ginger root, soy sauce, lily buds. I have some, the people cried out, and off they ran, returning with all they could carry. The monks stirred and the pot bubbled. How good it smelled, how good it would taste, how giving the villagers had become. At last, the soup was ready. The villagers gathered together. They brought rice and steamed buns. They brought lychee nuts and sweet cakes. They brought tea to drink, and they lit lanterns. Everyone sat down to eat. They had not been together for a feast like this for as long as anyone could remember. After the banquet, they told stories and sang songs and celebrated long into the night. They unlocked their doors and took the monks into their homes and gave them comfortable places to sleep. In the gentle spring morning, everyone gathered together near the willows to say farewell. Thank you for having us as your guests, said the monks. You have been most generous. Thank you, said the villagers. With the gifts you have given, we will always have plenty. You have shown us that sharing makes us richer. And to think, said the monks, to be happy is as simple as making stone soup. Now, stone soup is one of these traditional stories, and it has roots in European folklore. There are many versions of this story. They've been traced back to France and Sweden and Russia and England and Belgium and other countries. In the most familiar versions of the story, the soup is made from stones. But in others, it's been made from a nail, an axe, and even buttons made of bone. There are related stories from Jamaica about a soup-making pot, from Korea about a magic cake tree, and from the Philippines about a bill-paying hat. So in this particular retelling, John Muth took this traditional story and set it in China, and he used the Buddha story tradition where tricksters spread enlightenment rather than seeking gain for themselves. The characters of Hawk, Luck, and Sao are prominent in Chinese folklore. They are 3 deities that bestow health, wealth, and prosperity. Hawk symbolizes good fortune and prosperity, luck, good health, family happiness, and mutual love. Xiao symbolizes longevity and brings good health and long life free from stress and obstacles. In this story, they've taken the form of 3 Zen monks. Now, this is a story, maybe you've heard it before, about stone soup. It's a story I remember when I was in 4th grade, we did it as a play. And like I said, there are several versions of the story. But what the story reminds us of is when we share what we have, we make our life richer. And my favorite picture in this whole book, and I'll tell you why it's my favorite too, but my favorite picture in this whole book is this one. See what all the people are doing? They're sitting at a great big table. And I mean, it stretches kind of over like this, and we see it over here, and it goes off into the distance. Everybody's gathered there. The young and the old, the rich and the poor, guests and the villagers. And they all sit together to eat. And that's to me what communion is. When we all sit together, maybe we don't see a table as big as this, though I think it'd be really cool if we had one. I think it'd be really cool to have a table that stretched all across town and everybody sat down and had enough to eat. But that's the story of Stone Soup. It takes, our true happiness comes when we share what we have with others. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. It's kind of a cold day. I'm going to go back inside and make some coffee. But I hope you have a wonderful weekend, a great day, and I'll look forward to seeing you online tomorrow. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you soon.